Such a good singer. John Paul White, welcome back to E-Town.
Good to be back.
It's been a while.
It has been. You were in different digs last time I was here.
This place was a construction zone last time you were here.
Yeah, you brought me over. I think this was a dirt floor at the time.
It was.
It looked like
at
a
one
bomb
point.
had gone on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, good luck with that, man.
It's okay, I'm a musician.
I've been renovating houses back home too, so I've got the same vision. So I knew it was going to be beautiful, but you went above and beyond, and this place is amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, before we talk about your new record, I want to talk a little bit about the context. You know, you grew up in this sort of musical mecca. Did you know that when you were a kid? Did you know that all this stuff was going on around you?
No. When I was a kid, growing up in Loretta, Tennessee, it was pretty much all German Catholics. And I just assumed that's what the rest of the world was. And everybody just read music. And
right.
It wasn't quite that bad, but my parents turned the radio off in the late 70s. My dad hated urban country. He loved Merle and everything before it, so he just turned the radio off and played all those records. And my mom loved big band and things like crooners.
Yeah.
And so when we got in the car, we just heard top 40.
Right.
You know, because they just didn't care.
And at home, you didn't even know what decade you were living in.
No, I was in a time warp. Yeah, till I got to high school.
Right.
And then I found Black Sabbath and things like that.
Yeah.
And nothing has ever been the same. But
did Black Sabbath lead you to Lynyrd Skynyrd and the things that were kind of local?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
My best friends were also musicians, and it was just by coincidence. And there was going to be a talent show at school, and we were going to do a lip sync of Back in Black by AC/DC. And so they said, "You're going to be the bass player." And I said, "Sure. I don't know what a bass player is." And they said, "It's just 4 strings. Anybody can do that, you know." And so I just pretended that I was playing. And it turns out the guy that was going to sing, he had no idea what the words were to Back in Black, which is kind of the only
You're going to be the lip sync person. Yeah.
So I became the guy in the front. Long story short, the other guys knew how to play, the guitar player and the drummer. So they're playing along, and I started singing with them, and everybody stopped and just stared at me. And I thought I'd done something wrong. And they said, "You can sing." And I said, "I can." And from that point forward, nothing else ever mattered.
Yeah.
It just went downhill from that point.
Whatever career aspirations your parents had in mind for you, done. Yeah.
And they had them.
When did you start writing songs?
I didn't start writing songs really seriously until well into college. All I wanted to do was sing. All I wanted to do was whatever impressed the girl in the front row.
That could include a lot of other things too, I suppose.
Yeah,
weightlifting and.
I guess so. I just noticed when you sang certain songs, people looked at you differently, and I was like, "Well, that's what I'm going to sing."
Yeah.
And so there was really no soul to what I was doing. It was all just mimicry. And when you're playing in cover bands up and down this Tennessee state line, that comes in handy. And I was perfectly fine with that. So until I started songwriting well into my 20s, I didn't really find my voice.
When did you first have a Sundrop soda?
I can't remember not having one. Are y'all familiar with Sundrop?
No, no one knows about them here.
Well, there's a reason for that. Somebody does. There's a reason for that. There's actually a huge sign back home that says Sundrop. Other states don't get it. And they do that on purpose. I don't think they want it to be a big brand. But anyway, it's been a big part of my life. You can always tell when somebody is from the Tennessee Valley. If I see them with a Sundrop in their hand, I know where they're from. Yeah. But it's like, it's a citrus drink actually has orange juice in it. So it's kind of in the Mountain Dew family. Yeah. But I know what he's getting at. I named my studio after it.
Sundrop Sound.
Sundrop Sound.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll probably get a cease and desist at some point.
Yeah. Or hey, maybe you'll get a few cases of Sundrop sent to you saying thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, forgiveness is easier than permission.
Yeah.
So.
But let's not forget that it is also just chock full of sugar and caffeine. So let's not think it's like orange juice. Just so you know, I'm not trying to get you off the habit or anything, but
well, the old slogan was as refreshing as a cup of coffee. Dead serious.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. That's a musician's friend at all times.
Yes, it is.
In case you just tuned in, you're listening to E-Town. I'm here with John Paul White. So yeah, you have a studio and you have a label. So who's on your label?
Our flagship artist was The Bear was the first record that we put out, and that's a local band that we dearly love, and they're really good friends of ours and amazing musicians. The next release was St. Paul and the Broken Bones. Yeah. And when Ben Tanner, Ben plays keys for Alabama Shakes, and Will Trapp, who is a local friend, and they approached me about the label. They told me their idea, their premise behind it, and they said, and here's one of the first things we're going to work on. They played me about 5 seconds of St. Paul, and I was like, yeah, I'm in. Sign me up. Yeah. I'm for it. And if y'all haven't heard St. Paul and the Broken Bones, run, don't walk.
Yeah, they have. That was a big record to sort of start things going, and so now it's more and more.
It was terrifying.
Yeah.
Because we had no idea what we were doing.
Yeah.
And we came right out of the gate with a band that had a rocket attached to their rear end. So. Yeah. But we kept up as well as possible and grew up really fast.
Yeah. And is that helping to create, because like I say, you're already in, now you're in Florence, Alabama, and it's with Alabama Shakes and St. Paul and the Broken Bones and Jason Isbell, and there's just a whole bunch of natural talent right around there. Right. And now I know not long ago we had the duo Penny and Sparrow here on E-Town, and they went to go there to work with you, and they moved there.
They did.
It's just a magnetic attraction.
That was the first act that we had worked with that was not, a Shoals, at least in the general radius of the Shoals. But the reason I knew about them is because my brother is in a duo called Grace and Tony. And he had done some shows with them. Yeah. And he said, you're going to fall in love with these guys. And we definitely did. But I don't know. I feel like when they came to town, have you ever seen the movie Funny Farm with Chevy Chase?
No.
Well, there's a scene where this will make sense at some point here. Just bear with me. They can edit it if they don't like it later. Chevy Chase wants to sell his house, and the entire town wants him to sell his house because they can't stand him. So the entire town gets together and colludes and decides we're all going to be really amazing, wonderful people to fool whoever it is that comes in and to buy his house. And I kind of feel like that's what the Shoals did. When Penny and Sparrow came to town, I was looking around and like, who are you people? Like, everybody rolled out the red carpet.
They're being so open and welcoming and nice.
And now we got them hooked and they can't leave.
Yeah. Well, we have to come check it out. I've never been there. Never been down there from Florence, Alabama.
So. Don't come in the summer.
Oh, don't come in the summer. Okay.
No.
Let me just ask you two more things because we want to get back to music. One is, was there a hard transition for you being a guy who was flying so high, you're out there hanging around with, Taylor Swift and Adele, and you're traveling around and 4 Grammys and all this stuff, and then suddenly you're back in this Florence, Alabama, and you're hanging out, raising kids and playing music locally. And was that a tough transition?
In ways, it was very, and in other ways, it was completely organic. But I'd been on the road and living out of a suitcase for a long time, and when I would be at home, I always had the suitcase in the corner of the room. And anytime I was doing anything, I was thinking about, okay, do I have guitar strings? Do I have a change of underwear? Do I have the Wi-Fi password for so-and-so venue that's coming next week? Just dumb things like that was always clouding my mind. So when my kids or my wife would talk to me, I could just deal with it on the surface because I was having to multitask so much. Yeah. And that was the main thing that I realized is once I got home and I was able to focus on absolutely nothing but what was right in front of me, it was mind-blowing. And it was pretty awakening, like, let's not get back there anymore. So doing things like this, I'm adamant that I only do gigs that I really, really want to do, that really make sense. And I only tour for a week to 2 weeks at a time. I won't go any longer than that. And so I've made a lot of subtle changes, and
It's interesting because it sounds like this was a natural evolution and that you're happier now. And then the songs you've been writing are pretty darn dark and, full of vengeance and, kind of kiss off, leave me alone love songs as if you're trying to work something out for a happy guy.
This is true. I've wondered the same thing myself. I've also wondered why I grew up gravitating toward all those songs and all those artists. And I remember distinctly the first time I heard Sam Stone by John Prine. And when he sang "There's a Hole in Daddy's Arm Where All the Money Goes," wrecked me. And I had written some songs up to that point, and I just put the paper down and said, you have no idea what you're doing. And I remember that how that made me feel versus "Darling, I Love You So Much." The John Prine lyric just shook me to the core and stuck with me a lot more than a love song ever would. Yeah. There are people that are out there to write positive, happy, up-tempo songs. I am not that guy.
No, that's okay. I think think it's okay.
Here's the other side of that.
We all like the blues. We all have. Good. I mean, there's a lot of happy-sounding music with really kind of depressing lyrics. It's not like you're alone in this category.
I'm trying to make it sound optimistic.
Yeah.
It's like my idea of a love song is everything is horrible except you.
Well, I think that about sums it up. So, Hey, it's a beautiful sounding record.
Thank you.
And full of really well-crafted songs. So congratulations. The record is called Beulah. Let's get back to music. Welcome back, John Paul Waite.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Nick Forster from E-Town. If you want to stay up to date with all the performances, interviews, and behind-the-scenes footage, click the subscribe button. Thanks.